So here we are in the Parc Fermé, short break for lunch, and I'm going to ask Paul Klassen, our Chief Technical Scrutineer, a little bit about the Unipro Unilogger system that's on all the go-karts here at the Euro Challenge. So what is the Unipro Unilogger used for?
It's very simple really. What we have is the main block which goes onto the kart itself. And all we're really looking for is to make sure there's only a green light there. If we get a red light, then we have a problem. We need to download it and look into it further. So what happens is, it's done by wireless, and all we would have to do is we need to highlight really the red light flashing. When we have the red light flashing, we can then point the analyzer, which you've got to transfer onto it, point it to the analyzer and transfer the data from the Unilogger into the analyzer. That now clears the Unilogger completely, puts everything into the analyzer itself. We would then put it onto the computer so we can actually look at all the information that we have received through. And by putting it in, we then can highlight into the analyzer transfer button, highlighting it, pressing it, and now transfer all the data from the analyzer onto the laptop. We need obviously there just to clear the analyzer itself. Now we put everything onto the laptop itself. On this particular one there was no problem, so therefore there was nothing really to actually see. But if we actually go into something we found in the past to give you some ideas, this is all data that we've collected over the last 3 or 4 years from not only in with using the Unipros. So now we just, if we click onto a unit here and highlight it, we can then bring this unit up, and it will now give us a Unilog number. We'll go into the sessions. We'll just bring it all out into the open first of all so we can see it. As you notice, each time I've clicked on different things to bring it all up. What we're looking at here is this is all the data that was analysed, and what we'll find is they're called events because obviously we don't know what they are at the time. It tells us what the actual part was. In this particular case it's saying slip, and this is what we're looking for. It tells us the percentage of slip over the amount which is allowed. It then tells us when the actual occurrence was, and it also tells us how long it ran for. So in this particular case we had 7.3% of slip. It went on for 1.43 seconds, and it happened at 0.34 of a second after the engine was started. Okay. So that particular part was more than likely when somebody started the engine up on the grid. But if you then look at the graph itself, you can see where, if I use a pen it would be easier. We have a green line and a red line. The red line is the speed graph and the green line is your RPMs. And these two lines should run together a bit like you can see up here. You can see where they're split. Therefore, this says that it has got a clutch slip. So we need to look at every part of it just to see what's going on, because I said that was just really initial startup of an engine. Now we start to see then real slip, where you can see this is the 6,500 RPM limit we have, which must be 100% engagement, and there we have the peak up here. I'm going to highlight this particular part. And if we look over here, we'll see that it peaked out at 8,628 RPM. So there's the first bit of clutch slip. So we just really go through everything that's there, and every one of these is a peak, and every one is clutch slip. So we then have to report this findings then to the stewards. The nice part with this is we can actually produce a bit of paperwork as well, so that when it goes to the stewards they can understand it a little bit more, and we can actually produce a sheet which will give us a preview of, we can make comments on it, which track it was, and when we look at that, this is the paperwork we go to the stewards. It then gives us all the information that we need. It gives us the Unilog number, it gives us the competitor number, it tells us how many sessions that competitor has done. It tells us the starting and the finishing time of it. It tells us how long the session went on for. In this particular case it was 18 minutes. The event number that we're looking at here was event number 5. It tells us the type of event, which was a clutch type, so in other words, clutch slip. It tells us the amount of percentage of slip, how long it lasted for. It tells us the date and how long from the start time it was. So all the information is there. The stewards can then look at it and make a decision on that. And obviously if they wanted to look at a bit more, they can also look at a bit more as well.
Fantastic. Very interesting. How often do you find this happens, that it exceeds the limit?
Depends on the meeting. This meeting, obviously, we've only had one. We get a few which have got red lights on, but because they've started them in the pits, or it's also time orientated, so we do know when they did it. So if it's in the race, because we run to a timetable, we can actually look at the time. That gives us the information there. But normally you find it's just somebody started an engine up on things, but we just ignore those completely because there's nothing to look at.
Yeah. Do you think it's a deterrent that stops people maybe thinking about doing something they shouldn't?
Oh, it's a big deterrent, this one is.
Okay, that's the answer we wanted. Thank you. Thanks for the info.